This is Swiss and Chips, your British guide to Switzerland. Hello and welcome to Swiss and Chips. I'm Jo Fay.
And I'm Simon Sried.
And today we're going to be talking all about how you can find a job in Switzerland as a foreigner. Why are we talking about that today, you may well ask yourself. Well, not only is it one of the biggest, if not the biggest question that you'll have before you move here, but Ulrika Midner, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly and apologies if not, posted in our Facebook group actually. It's called Switzerland for English Speakers. And Ulrika had a number of different questions that she posted in there. And then we took all of her ideas, put them to a poll, and those lovely people in our Facebook group said that they wanted to know most about how you can find a job in Switzerland as a foreigner.
Yeah, and it's really cool that this Facebook group starts to develop with loads of our listeners, and it's super exciting because you asked, for example, the other day where all these people are coming from, and
yes,
it's so exciting to read where all these people are coming from. Let's have a look at a few now.
Yeah, that would be great.
For example, Steph Time, she comes from Geneva and is now in the Midlands, so she is Swiss and
that's
moved
cool.
to
Hello,
England.
Steph.
And so, hello, Steph.
Hello.
And then we have Natalia from Venezuela and living in Schaffhausen now.
Hello,
and,
Natalia.
We have loads of people from India living in Zurich, people from Skopje living in Bern, and also people that live abroad and just are interested in Switzerland or, have relatives or something like that. So it's really interesting to see all these people coming together, and we really hope that you enjoy it and that people who are part of the group, that they can influence a little bit our show.
Yeah, that's super interesting because we might have a good idea for the programme, and then we can ask you, if you're in a group, what you think you might like to hear about. And somewhere along the way, we find out, make an episode, and hopefully you like it.
Yeah, so that's let's go back to our
original point. Good place to start.
How to find a job in Switzerland for people living abroad.
Exactly. So I think the big first question is, where on earth can you look for a job? Where would you find job openings?
Yeah, it's the classic version is you go online and you just search wherever you can, and there we have loads of main search platforms. I will put a few on our website on swissandchips.com and put all the links there so you can just follow them. Or you go on Google and you just search for finding a job in Switzerland, or be a bit more specific. If you already know you come and live in Bern, for example, you might search for finding a job in Bern, and then you end up on one of these city platforms like stellenbern.ch is, for example, for Bern, a search platform. And there you find all the jobs. You can subscribe to the newsletters and you can sign up, and
they'll notify you basically when a new job that fits your requirements.
Most of them have also apps, exactly.
Yeah. And what would be the phrase that you'd look for in German if you wanted to find a website that's in German and not in English?
Job suchen in der Schweiz.
It's as easy as that. It may sound like a stupid question, but that can be a big stumbling block if you don't speak it. How to find the site?
But how did you do it, by the way?
Well, I was looking for a pretty specific job, basically. I used to work in radio a lot more.
Pretty in like nice.
Yes, like nice, but as in this case, very. So because I was working in radio more back then, I was looking for a job where I could speak English. So like a production company or a media company or something along those lines. So I was looking at websites in Switzerland that had something to do with this, where they had something in English on their website. And I thought that might be a clue that they have English-speaking clients, for example. That was my starting point. I ended up finding an English-speaking radio station. It just so happened they had a job. And in the end, it just so happened that they chose me. So here I am.
Great.
A lot of kind of luck collides, basically.
Yeah, I think that's always how it works. So also for Swiss people, you need a bit of luck and someone knows somebody and so on. That's why I would also recommend, if you search on all these major platforms, then you also tell all your friends and maybe go to our Facebook group and just post it there like someone just did today. Mm-hmm. And, go to other Facebook groups or go on LinkedIn, post it there, tell your friends, tell it on Twitter, and just ask everyone basically. And in case you already, I think it's easier if you already know where you want to work. For example, like I
Definitely,
said
yeah.
before, in the place, for example, you know, I want to go and work in Bern. But also if you know, for example, you want to work in a bank, or you want to work, I don't know, like...
in insurance, for example.
Exactly.
There's a lot of
So
people working
yeah,
in
then you
reinsurance.
just go to the major companies there, go to their website, scroll down to the bottom and click on jobs and look what they have there. And if they don't have a job, often you can, or anyway, you can always write a Blindbewerbung, so-called. How is it in English?
A speculative application.
Oh, yeah, it makes me laugh because you tell me to for the third time because we are...
I also couldn't think of what the word was, to be honest, at first, but now I've said it so many times today, it's going to be engraved on my brain. Maybe I'll even dream about that tonight. Speculative application.
Yeah, you just write them a letter and say, I'm Simon, I want to work for you because I have these skills and I can help your company with this and that. And maybe you're lucky, you never know.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, a lot of places, maybe they know that someone will be leaving in the next month or so, for example, but they haven't advertised the job yet. Or maybe they've got a new project coming up, or they need someone to do some freelance work. And it might just be that your letter lands on their desk or in their email inbox at the right time. So I think it's really worth taking the time to try and do those things if you can see somewhere where you think you'd be perfect to go and work.
Yeah, so to sum it up, I think for people living abroad or also expats already living in Switzerland, to find a job in Switzerland, it's pretty much the same like for a Swiss and probably quite similar to any other country. Just search online whatever you can find. If you know you want to work somewhere specific, go to their website and sign up to the newsletters, to the job newsletters. Write to the people, maybe even call them. If, for example, if you want to teach like English or something, just call at the university and say, I want to teach English. Is there any chance that I can do that at your place? Or just try whatever you can.
Yeah, I think it's worth it for sure.
Yeah. So.
And so if you are applying from abroad, I think one of the most important things you have to do is to convince that prospective employer that you really have a firm commitment to Switzerland, that you're coming here anyway. They don't want to take a chance on someone, fill out all the paperwork, believe me, there's a lot, and then find out that, a few weeks later, you've changed your mind, you don't want to move after all, your kids aren't so happy about coming, you couldn't find them a school. Really explain, you've got your house in order. You're looking for this place for maybe your children or your wife or your partner. You've been searching for a house here. You've got your relocation plans set. You're coming and you want to go and work for them. And then it's much more clear that you've made a firm commitment to be here and they don't have to worry so much about what's going to happen a few weeks or months down the line. Of course, that could happen to anyone, but I think as an expat coming to a country, that's a kind of big question mark that's over your head.
Yeah, speaking of which, so you looked for your job, you found one, and now you want to apply. What to include in your application is your CV, so I think that's classic, everywhere the same. And then you also write a little bit about, I think that's also everywhere the same, what language do you speak? And
well, it depends on the job. I think that's more common in Switzerland, actually.
Okay.
But you definitely have to say, if you speak one of the Swiss languages, then for goodness sake, mention it. And also your level, I think, is quite relevant.
Yeah, exactly. You can say basic skills, for example.
Yeah.
That's okay. And then also include all the school stuff.
Yeah.
Like
university diplomas or any qualification you've had, and also the kind of degree transcripts.
Yes.
That's something I'd never thought about including, but I've realised since I've been here, you also need to include that as well.
Yeah, you would include that as well. And also the former employees would write a letter for you. That's also quite important, or very important, I would say.
That would be a reference letter, a recommendation letter from your former employer.
And when you quit in Switzerland, you will get that from your employer. And also, when you are working still in Switzerland, you can always ask your employer to write one for you, like kind of a midterm reference letter or something like that. So that's basically for this.
Yeah, I think that's really an interesting thing that I only learned about recently. And I think that's quite a good idea to have.
Yeah, yeah, because I think that's the most important thing of a application, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the also important is the cover letter, what you said before. I think there you make your first impression, and there you want to write why you are good for this job. And also there I think you can include already something like what you want to give for the job. What I mean, like if you, for example, apply for a job, you know English and German is necessary to speak, and then you only speak German maybe like okay, not great yet. So you could also already say that you applied for a school, or you want to go to a school, or you would be willing to go to a school or something like that. So basically show yourself from the best side, and that counts also for the CV itself. So if it's printed on a nice paper, and if it's online, make sure also there are no spelling mistakes, and there is a nice picture on it, and just all must look as perfect as possible.
Yeah, I think so. And the thing is, with this cover letter, that's really a chance to kind of address your weak spots and try and turn them into strengths. Like, I think language is a big issue for expats to try and overcome. If you're one of those expats who doesn't already speak Swiss languages, good enough, you might think, to work in them, which as you said, maybe you speak kind of average German. It's really good to say, I'm ready to learn it, or I'm already learning it even better. And then you've shown them, I know this is my weak spot, but this is what I'm doing to try and make it better. And on the other hand, don't forget that you might think, oh, I only speak English and I'm rubbish at languages. Well, actually, you being a native English speaker is a really useful skill that can't even, money can't buy that.
It's more and more useful, I would even say, because more and more jobs require English. More and more jobs have websites which they want to have translated in English and so on. So I would... Yeah. And also, I would say Swiss have weaknesses. Well,
so,
not everyone.
Hang on. Could we just repeat that point, and I'll just make sure we're definitely recording.
What I want to say is, like, everyone has strengths and weaknesses. So for foreigners, it's just different strengths and weaknesses, I think. And you just have to emphasize your strengths, and don't be shy to put out your strengths there.
Yeah, exactly. And, native English speaker, that can be extremely useful, even if they haven't specifically said why they need it. They've probably got native English speaker needs, like I found in a lot of offices, but they don't advertise that.
Can you stop quickly? You just smile at me since I said that Swiss have also weaknesses. I just want to have it.
Don't put that in your cover letter, for goodness sake. You'll never get a job.
I've never said that. Okay, keep going.
Speaking of which, knowledge of a specific culture can be very useful. Don't mention that the Swiss have weaknesses. But, if you come from India, for example, use that as a strength, because that's the biggest thing that you have that somebody else, they can't learn that as well as you can. Yeah, because you know it, you live it. And hopefully you're applying for a kind of job where you can really use that. And I think that will help.
That goes from A to Z. So look for a job that maybe requires your specific skill. And then in your application, and emphasize it in your job interview, emphasize it, and then soon you are here.
Yeah. I think the one last thing to mention in this sort of how to overcome certain challenges that expats face in looking for a job, it can also be an issue of qualifications. Maybe your qualification isn't recognized here, so I'd spend a bit of time looking that up. Maybe you can find out what the equivalent is. And if your qualifications aren't in English or a Swiss language, then I would also get them translated, get an official translation for them, because you might have an amazing qualification, but if it's in a language that the person doesn't speak, they won't know that when they read it. It's pretty straightforward.
Think that's really important. It's what I said before. I think your CV is so important that everything is as perfect as possible.
Yeah. And explain what things are in your CV. You might know whatever organization is in your country, but someone in Switzerland will have never heard of it, so they don't know why it's so impressive.
Yeah.
Which brings us all back, I think, to our original starting point, which was with Eureka. And when she found out that we were talking about how to find a job, she posted a few more questions in our Facebook group, Switzerland for English Speakers.
Which you can do as well as soon as you have joined.
Yes, join, and then you can post questions and hopefully also post answers, which is super useful. Eureka, you were also asking us about work permit rules, if we know. And I guess the short answer to this is that
Employees are responsible, I would say.
Employers,
I mean,
yeah.
we are not lawyers, but I think in general, I would just say, apply for a job if you found one, and if you have found one, and then the employers,
Yep.
they will call you or write an email and say you can come for an interview, but we need permit A, B, and C from you, or something like that, and then you might see, oh, I don't have that yet, or you just organize it, or something like that, and it will work out probably. And if not, then they will tell you early enough.
Yeah, exactly. And if they have a specific need for someone, because at first employers are generally looking at Swiss or EU citizens, and then a little bit less at people coming from countries outside of there. It all depends on the industry and the specific needs of the job. So if they've advertised for something specific and you're that person, then they will try and make it so
And
that you can
hire
be
you,
here.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
So there's that. Ulrika, you also asked about anything specific with a job interview in Switzerland. And this made me think quite long and hard if there was anything specific or
I didn't
unusual
have
that
an
happened.
interview in any other country. I think for the interview itself, it's it's the same like with the cover letter. Just show your strength. Don't lie about your weaknesses. Just be honest and natural.
Yeah. And I think if maybe the one thing that I could think that was a little bit different here was if they've asked about different languages in the job advert, then you should, just be prepared that they'll probably want to speak to you in that other language.
That's definitely true. So if you write in your CV that you are fluently in German, Swiss German, for example, or German, then they will want to speak with you. Also, if you write basic skills, maybe they want to have a short chat with you in that
Definitely,
language.
yeah. Because they'll want to find out, what does basic mean?
Exactly.
So
yeah.
Basically they just want to know who are you, what
It's
are you
not
dealing
like
with.
a trap or something.
No.
It's just they want to find out if
Yeah. Will they be able to speak to you in German or
exactly.
not? So that will happen. So
Then she asked about work dress codes. So
depends
I
on the
think
job.
Switzerland, in my opinion, I don't know. Switzerland is quite a casual, elegant casual, or how do you say that?
Smart casual.
Smart casual.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I would say for a job interview, definitely make sure that you are dressed up a little bit.
Yeah.
Especially for like finances or pharmacy, you would probably go in a suit.
Yep.
And all other things, it just depends what you applied for. I think for a teacher, it's maybe jeans and a shirt would be enough, or everything
yeah.
above.
Basically, you need to
can't-
look smart and you
Yeah.
need to present yourself well.
Exactly.
I
You
always go
can't-
by the rule, it's better to be dressed up than underdressed.
Yeah, I would say as well. But you can't be really overdressed in an interview, I think, I think you can't really be overdressed. Not sure. I don't think
Everything's possible.
so. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Just trying to think how that would work. Wear
But
a suit, then
then
you're
as
safe.
soon as you start working, you will see what your co-workers wear, and then you just go.
Exactly, yeah. I don't think it's much different to places that I worked in the UK,
Okay.
if that means anything to anyone listening.
Okay. Okay, UK.
Okay, UK. And then big question, particularly if someone's listening from the US, I think, how much vacation time in general is there in Switzerland?
It's 4 weeks. It's the minimum.
Nice.
And but most companies give you 5 weeks, I would say, in many fields, and sometimes even a little bit more. Like from a certain age, you might get 1 or 2 or 3 days more, or even a week, or even 2 weeks. And also some have like, if you come to work with the bike, then you have 1 day, or if you don't smoke, you have like 1 day or something like that.
Need to find out about these special days.
Yeah, you will find out as soon as you have your contract, and you will go through it, and then you will see it. But I think minimum is 4, and usually it's 5.
Weeks.
Yeah.
Holiday.
It was a big topic a few years ago when
Oh,
we had a
yes.
vote about 6 weeks of vacation for everyone as a minimum. But
This went to a public vote in Switzerland,
Yeah,
didn't
exactly,
it? So the
but-
people had the chance to decide, should we have 6 weeks holiday? What would you say?
I said yes, but
You're on our side.
was declined. So we still stick
Drat.
with 4.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the big the argument for it was that we have already quite a lot of pressure in the work today, and then it gets even more pressure and so on. So
Yeah, it's true. I can understand it, but, These Swiss, they're always so sensible. Okay, so I think we hopefully managed to answer all of your questions there, Eureka, and anybody else who's listening. If we didn't, or maybe this episode has made you think about something else you want to know about, or some advice you want to give even, then head over to Facebook, search for our Facebook group there, Switzerland for English Speakers, and you can come in, ask your questions, and swap experiences with other people. We'd love to have your input on this topic in particular.
Yeah, you can definitely just leave a note and just let us know what you think. There was, by the way, it crossed my mind. There was, let me just have a look quickly. In the Facebook group, there was Justin who joined and said, just listen to your podcast on about Swiss German. It was really good fun. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
But you didn't stress enough how different the dialects are. And it's true. I think he is totally right. Probably I didn't emphasize enough, because in the western part of Switzerland and the eastern part, it's like almost like a different language. So if you learn, for example, Bernese German, then that doesn't mean that you necessarily even understand what they say in the western part in Wallis or the eastern part in Graubünden.
True.
Or even Zurich dialect, if you want to say this is a dialect even.
Let's not go there.
No,
but
it's
seriously,
definitely true.
when I first moved here, for a while I thought, oh, I'm starting to understand this Swiss German stuff quite well. And then suddenly you come across a person, they open their mouth, you can see their lips moving and you know they're speaking some kind of German, but you have no idea what was just said. And you think, what happened? Did my brain just have a blackout?
Yeah.
And then after a while I realised they're from a different place and I don't know what on earth they're saying.
Yes, so thank you very much, Justin, for this helpful advice.
Feedback.
Yeah,
Yeah.
feedback.
All right, so I think that's about it for today. So thanks for listening.